Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, and sorry about the delay.
No, don't worry. It's the
Okay.
technology.
Yeah, also technology right now, but I was trying
Yep.
to sneak in am I is it good now? I'm in the right
Yeah,
orientation.
perfect.
I was
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to sneak in a last bike ride of the year and came back a
yeah.
little bit late.
First, I would like to say to you thanks for being here today. It's a really pleasure. Uh, and happy holidays and
Yes, happy
Merry
happy
Christmas.
holidays. Looking forward to 2021.
Yep.
Maybe it will be um, a year as unusual as this past one. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. It's strange days, no? For a
Strange
music
days
like
for sure.
you, always touring, always making concerts, and a year riding bike, I think so,
Yeah, yeah. Big.
and
It was a
and
big year. It
painting.
was a big year for the bicycle.
We are talking with Raúl
Yes.
Fernandez, and today
Today.
can't be because he's mixing in the studio.
Ah.
So
Okay.
another day we talk with him. So
I bet you he's lying and he's really out on his bicycle.
yeah, so a bassy boy,
Yeah. Yeah.
always bassy.
Yeah.
Um, with the new album, Names of North and Woman, there are many interviews around the world explaining the concept of the new album, of the new songs, of recording methods. Hearing today, when I'm writing the interview or the questions, and before after reading all the interviews, it's really awesome the results in the album.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh,
We worked really hard on it, and we
yeah,
we were very proud of it, and very sad that we didn't have any chance to make any concerts. We made one concert at the
yeah,
debut of the record in
yeah,
New York, just three pieces from the record, and that was all. So we had big plans
no,
for this year, and we were working really hard to create a stage show that was very interesting and very different than maybe what was going to be expected. But no, not happening. Nothing happening. You
yeah,
know.
and really difficult to play live in duo format. Um,
Well, yes.
only
Well,
with
it was
you
it was
and
it
Raul.
was difficult. Yeah. We have a drummer that we've been working with a lot the last few years named Booker Star Drum, but we decided to make it the biggest challenge we could and just go out in a duo. And it was it made it much harder in some ways, but it also
Mm,
made it more challenging and more interesting for us to try and achieve
yeah.
it in a duo format, you know? It meant we each had to take many different roles in terms of different instruments and things. And um,
Mm,
I think what we were getting ready to do was going to be very special. But, it's
mm.
set for another time now.
Maybe talking with Yolali from Fugazi, Koriki make a new album too in this 220, and
Yeah.
he can play and touring, and maybe next year around summer, or we don't we don't know. No one knows.
No, no one knows what's going to happen. That's why it's very difficult to plan for concerts or anything like that right now. No one knows what's going to happen. So we have to do other things now. You know,
Yeah. What are you doing now in these times? Writing, painting.
painting a lot. That's the bicycle and making paintings is the things I've been doing the most during the quarantine. Um, you know, because our record came out 1 week before the USA shut down, before everybody shut down pretty much in early March, I wasn't prepared to start making new music right away. We had just spent a year making new music, you know? So I really didn't do any music. I didn't pick up a guitar or anything for months from
Mhm.
until June or July, nothing at all. And then now since then, I've slowly started to be recording and doing some things.
Mhm.
Um, I'm working on a long instrumental acoustic guitar piece right now that's just about finished. I'm getting ready to mix it. A COVID period acoustic guitar
Mhm.
piece about
Yeah.
22 minutes long. And I'm working on some other things. Raul and I are trying to figure out if there's some way to work remotely with mailing files back and forth. It's not the same. We work really well together
Mm.
when we're in the same room. So I've just been doing other things. I've been doing some writing, both music writing and just essays. I just finished an essay on Bob Dylan and a few other things like that that I've been working on. But the painting has been the most consistent thing through this period.
Necessary in these times. Express yourself about the painting and
Yeah, yeah. For the first weeks, it was unclear whether we were going to be locked up for a very long
yeah.
time or just for a week or
Yeah.
two, you know. So it was very hard to know what to do because if it was going to be over quickly, then you go back
Mm.
to the normal things. But the more it went on and the more it became clear that there was no real end happening, I just started to to paint and draw. Just and we were sitting around in the house, sitting at the table. So I just started to
Mm.
work on some things, and that's grown a bit more now. And I've been spending time in my painting studio and working on some things.
Mm. In your painting studio, there are amps. I see in another interview in YouTube. There are amps, recordings, jams, and
Yeah, well, that's the
and
recording studio. I have another studio in that same building, a small one that's just for making art. But
for
that's
yeah,
Sonic
for
Youth's
painting.
studio. It's still the same building, so we still have a recording studio, Sonic Youth, and an archive, and all of our tapes, and posters and gear, all the amps and guitars and things.
The archive, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. That stuff
you
is
love
all still
really
there.
making index with bootlegs, live concerts, and
Yeah. Well, I guess so. We have a 30-year history, so there's lots of recordings and lots of documentation, and that was always important to us to keep all the posters and all of that kind of thing. So we're working to release, a lot since we're not playing anymore. We're working to release live
mm,
shows as we can. We started a Bandcamp account, and we've been releasing live shows there, and I think we're going to start to put out new vinyls of very specific live shows that we really liked a lot. Things
mm.
like that are
in
starting to happen.
this month, with Bandcamp and this, you share some live bootlegs and some recordings,
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
um, like solo project, and
yeah,
with
actually,
performance and like Lee Ronaldo and others like Sonic Youth and Sonic Youth Live.
yes. Um, I'm not really sure what you're asking, but I'm not sure what you're asking.
Um, you love, well, you like to sharing that documents, that lives, that
Sure.
tapes, that.
Yeah, sure. We I don't think any of us have done too much in the way of streaming events, but we've all done a little bit, and
Hmm.
it can be interesting. I mean, I think the longer this goes on, the more people are trying to get used to doing some things in a streaming format, you know. Um, so it's something I think about. I haven't really my partner Leah and I did a performance a few weeks ago,
Hmm.
a live stream performance of our piece with the movies and the hanging guitar, um, and that was pretty interesting. It was actually pretty fun to do it. It was a little strange. There's no audience there, you know. And
Yeah.
I filmed a song for a television show uh, in a in a club in Brooklyn with just the
Yeah.
director and two cameras and one person, one doing person doing the sound, and very strange, but it was also very interesting because it was the first time I was on a stage playing
Mhm.
live on a on a stage with colored lights and things
Yeah.
for months and months. So it was
Mhm.
even the guys doing the cameras were saying like, "Wow, it's the first gig I've been to in 6 months." So we do what we can. There's been
Mhm.
some live streams that I've seen that I thought were really good. You know, some of them are pretty ordinary, but some of them have been kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So every once
You
in a while,
speak in
somebody puts
the
together a good one.
in your 220 top or best things, or like you
Yes,
wanna say
year-end list.
circuit de year,
Yes, Circuit
and
des Yeux.
the
Yeah,
streamings of her.
yeah, yeah. I thought that she did two of the best live streams that I saw this year. One was quite long, almost 2 hours, and the other one was
Mhm.
quite short, maybe 30, 40 minutes, but they were both they were both kind of low tech, but still very, very well
Mhm.
done, very well thought out. Um, really interesting staging, we say, you know, the lights and the cameras,
Yeah.
and well
Yeah.
recorded, you know. And as I tuned into a few things like that, and I like to, if I'm going to watch a live stream, I'm going to sit in front of good speakers with a good screen
Yeah.
and really, really give it my attention and not be, walking around the
Mhm.
house or something like that. So
Yeah.
hers were really captivating. I mean, I love what
Yeah.
she does. I think she's an amazing artist, and I thought that both of the streams that she did were fantastic,
Yeah.
actually.
I think she have something special. I saw her with Bill Callahan
Ah,
opening the show, and it's like wow.
yeah. Who was opening for who? Who was on first?
Circuit
For Bill. Yeah.
for real,
Yeah, yeah, great double bill.
and I think
Two of
she's
my favorite
special.
artists. Yes, I
She
agree.
have
I
something
agree.
special.
Yeah, I agree.
Her voice or her interpretation with the guitar plays only with acoustic guitar, but
Yes.
it's intense. It's
Yeah.
when
Yeah, no, she
songs.
definitely has something quite special.
Yeah. Um, Taking the new album, so we start to speak,
Yeah.
and the new album names of North and Woman,
Doesn't feel
the
new
voices.
anymore. No, go ahead.
The voices are the most important in the album,
Yeah.
more than guitars. Two guitarists and voices put in the middle. The most
Yeah.
important of.
Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time through the period that I've been working with Raul. The voice has been coming forward more and more, and we've been more and more interesting in what can be done vocally. And I've been sort of challenging myself to do more vocally since Acoustic Dust and Electric Trim, and now this one.
Hmm.
And yeah, we tried for something different on this record, and we there's acoustic. I mean, there's guitars on the record, but they're not a dominant thing. And the vocals and the lyrics are really more important than the guitars in this record. And we worked again on some of the songs with our friend Jonathan Lethem, the writer, on
Yeah.
some of the lyrics. And I don't know, I feel like I've changed from a guitar player who sang to a singer who plays guitar now. So
Hmm.
I'm really interested in the voice aspect of things. And going forward, I think I'm going to be concentrating a lot more on some challenging ways to use the voice. And you know, we but every project calls for different things. So this project uh, it called for a guitar in specific places, but not all over the place. A lot of the songs started
Hmm.
with guitars, but in the end we took the guitars away, or we were just working as we felt was the best. Guitars will always be there. I have 7 or 8 guitars in my site right now, so they're not going away. But it's just you know you do what you need to do. This record had a different concept.
The collaboration with Jonathan starts in Electric Dream, I think so.
Yes, yes,
And the
yeah,
documentary, he speaks a lot
yeah,
with so important for him. No?
yeah. It's been really important to us to have him aboard. I mean, I think he's an amazing writer. I love his writing, and he's been a friend for a while, and I was in a period where I was looking for someone to give me um, other words, that didn't come out of my head,
Mm.
a different point of view, different language, different ideas about language. And so I think
Mm.
it's been pretty fruitful working with him. We've really worked pretty well together, I think, and in many different ways to construct these songs. And we've had a really interesting dialogue together about the nature and function of lyrics in songs, and what it means to create lyrics, looking for the perfect word sometimes, or how much that matters at other times.
Yeah. In the songs, you play with a collage techniques,
Yes,
with the lyrics like a collage and taking these words and others and mixing and after make the songs. But first,
yep.
it's like a collage, a crazy moment.
Yeah, they came about in many different ways, but we were working with some old cassette tapes and some modern electronic equipment and just trying different things, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We were just we were definitely working in a collage style. We were doing things, cutting it up, changing it, just to see what we could make.
Mm-hmm.
I think we
It's
were
a
both pushing ourselves to be out of our comfort zone and in pretty unknown territory, I think.
it's a consciousness act and improvisational impro.
Improvisational. Yeah. Yeah.
Excuses about my English.
No, it's
Sorry.
okay. I'm sorry we can't do it in Spanish. Um, Yeah, it was improvisational, and it was collaging the lyrics is something I've worked on for a long time, but in this case we really worked more that way in terms of the music. But I think one
Mm,
of the things between Raul and I is that um, we really enjoy experimentation in the studio. I mean, Electric Trim is a more traditional record, but it still
yeah.
for us was very experimental in terms of what we were doing together in the studio. And this record moved even further in that direction. We were really trying a lot of different ideas about experimentation and just
Mm,
like I said, challenging ourselves to work in new ways. We had all these different pieces of equipment that neither one of us had really used very much before. High tech electronic equipment and low tech
mm,
cassette players and things, and just uh,
yeah.
just playing around with different things.
The Raul's new machines and the old cassette tape
Yeah,
recorder.
yeah, yeah,
The
exactly.
21st February in the concert, you play
Yes,
with that cassette tape recorder, and it's
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
and
they're very special tape recorders that can slow the tape
yeah,
down or speed it up, play the front of the tape, play it backwards, and um, I've been
the
using those for a
analog
long time. I've had those tape
analog
recorders
and
for
tech
and
is
digital. Yeah,
the and digital, the
yeah,
two things, no?
yeah. Like putting them together like this, something very old and something very new, some very modern
Mm,
instruments, and then some instruments that were hand built for us by in particular by a friend of mine in Holland named Yuri Landman, who's been building instruments for me
mm,
recently. I can show you one that he just sent to me. this one just came in.
Yep.
It's it's a wooden piece with it with with a
Yeah.
bridge here. So this one just came, and it will be something that we'll use in the next group of things that we present, I guess.
Mm.
We were also working a lot with like rhythms and things. We were
Yeah.
doing a lot of percussion things.
Mm.
Both Raul and I playing different percussion instruments,
Mm.
including when we made the record, we were using these gamelan instruments that Sonic Youth
Yeah.
had brought back from Indonesia in the 90s, and just playing around with a lot of different ideas about rhythm
Mm.
and the voices, really making the voices strong. We spent a lot of time recording the voices and getting the voice to sound right and the lyrics to, be finished.
Um, 3 months in the studio without rehearsing or demo acoustic demos with guitar, and this is the origin of the album. That 3 months in the studio in
Yeah, I
Eco
guess so. I
Kenya.
don't know how long it was. It feels like it was more than 3 months. We did a few sessions. We did a few different periods in New York, and we did two
Yeah.
or three periods in Barcelona. Um,
Mhm.
I did come in with many acoustic demos, and a couple of them we used on a couple of the songs. The first song and the last song started from some acoustic demos I made, but we had all these new machines, and very quickly we just said, let's just start from scratch and
Mhm.
not work from the demos. Let's just make things up brand new, and that was pretty successful. We worked really well together, improvising in the studio.
It's the logic evolution of your relation.
Yeah, I
First,
think so.
acoustic dust
Yep, yep.
before electric trim. El Rayo is before electric trim trio, no?
Uh,
El
yes,
Rayo
before,
like
yes,
band.
yes, yes, before Electric Trim Trio is El Rayo.
After is electric trim, and now the new album like a duo, like
Yeah,
Raúl Fernández and Ranaldo.
yeah, yeah.
Um, what have Raúl to enjoy a new spaces, new sounds, to make a new book or a new album. The experimentation in this album is the result of a lot of job, a lot of hours, a lot of ideas. What have Raúl? Um,
Well, I mean, he has a certain skill in the studio. He's a really great producer and listener and sound manipulator. And we really hit it off together. I mean, I think the first thing when we made Acoustic Dust, we didn't know each other, and he was brought in by our friends at Primavera to make the record. And I think he
yeah.
really liked my voice and the way that I sang, and we decided by the end of those sessions, we said, let's try and work on new material at some point. And that
Mm.
led to the beginning of Electric Trim. And I just think there's a really great collaboration that we have together. When we're in the studio, we spend hours and hours working on stuff, and it's always super interesting, and we feel like we're, breaking new ground and coming up with things together that maybe neither of us would imagine on our own.
Mhm. And make one more step than normal, no?
Yeah,
To arrive to these new songs.
yeah, I guess so. I feel like when we started these songs, we had a lot of different things that we were listening to from the last year before we started, different ideas of some electronic music, a bunch of different things. And, um, when we got together, we just wanted to be more ambitious and try some different things. We knew we wanted to try some spoken word elements
Mhm.
and just challenge ourselves to make music in a new way that wasn't falling back on some old ideas about music.
Um, with the you speak about the new album. It's a studio album,
Yeah,
and you need to try to play live. And you speaks about three albums: Pet Sounds from Beach Boys,
yep,
Sgt. Pepper
yep,
from Beatles, and Dark Side of the Moon from Pink Floyd.
yep.
And difficult to to play it live. Um, yeah.
Yeah, well, when we're in the studio, we're not really thinking about a normal record. If you come in with a group of songs, you're already playing them.
Mhm.
You already know how to play them, and then you're recording them well, and then you go out and play them. With these songs, we're inventing them in the studio. I mean, in a similar way to the Beatles never attempted to play Sgt. Pepper live because it wasn't created with the idea of playing it live. They were working
Mm,
on it in a studio with all these effects. They were making sound recordings, really, and
yeah.
and not just documents of songs that they wrote. They were the recordings are the end product in a way, and that's although we devised methods that we could go out and play this music live. We weren't worrying about that when we were creating it. We were just trying to make an interesting
Mhm.
record, you know. And those three records were among many that we talked about just because they were all creations done in the studio.
Mm,
Those records all could not have been made uh, just with one mic in a room, like old style, like Elvis standing there with a guitar singing a song. Those songs were made with tape recorders and machines and constructed in the studio with overdubbing
mm,
and all this kind of stuff. And that's the way we've been working. We've been working in this experimental style. So it's removed one step from the live performance. The live performance is something quite different.
mhm. Uh, Little bit more simple, but more atmospheric too. Uh,
Yeah,
so in
yeah.
the life of February, it's more ambient.
Some aspects of it were more ambient. Yeah, we wanted to go for a more open sounding, uh,
Mm,
presentation. We didn't want it to be super loud and distorted and dense. We wanted there to be a lot of space for different elements to come out. Um, so yeah, it had a certain more I don't know if ambient is the right word, but um, we were hoping it would be more open and spacious. Yeah.
mm. Yep, yep.
Yeah, with
It's,
sometimes
it's
maybe just
it's a
one
nice
element or
description.
two elements. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
one of the things to the album makes me feel is a landscape dialogue or speaking voices speaking with the music, the textures of the sound, um, and wait, um, you are searching new places with the new songs.
Definitely, definitely. We
Yeah.
were we were referencing a lot of different musics that we heard, some electronic music, some sort of contemporary, I don't know, contemporary modern music, classical music, um, a lot of different things that were not rock based. I mean, this record was not focusing on rock music, that's clear. Um,
Hmm.
and so we had a lot of other things that we were listening to that we wanted to try certain kinds of ideas of repetitive rhythms, or we wanted to simplify the song structures. I tend to write
Hmm.
songs that have many parts and go through many structures. And for this record, we thought we would try and simplify them in the same way that a lot of modern music today, a lot of music that's very popular is just like one beat, and somebody singing over it or rapping over it. And we thought there was something interesting about that idea of being that streamlined, and we were trying to simplify in a way some of the things
Mm.
and
It's
open it up to the atmosphere.
yeah, curiosity, freedom, and experimentation
Yeah,
um,
that sounds
in
good.
this new
Yeah,
place here.
yeah. Yeah, rather than falling back on the things you already know how to do, that maybe you can do pretty well, or that things that people are familiar with. I mean, I think that was another aspect of it. We were really trying for ourselves to challenge ourselves to do something new and not worry about uh, expectations of
Mm.
the audience in any
Hmm.
way. I feel like if you're working in new territory, the dedicated members of your audience appreciate that in a
Mm.
way. You know.
You speak in an interview. There are musicians uh, who make new places or new language or new feelings, new sounds, and other ones who are searching the perfection or perfection one style or you now you are in the searching, right?
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, some people have a style that's their signature, and they
Mhm.
they just make more and more music, and you can tell right away who it is. It sounds just like them. It always sounds like them. And then other
Mhm.
artists that kind of surprise you a little bit on each record. Uh, and so we're somewhere in the middle, I guess. We're looking to I don't know, we're looking to create something new when we go into the studio, you know. And if it takes a
Mhm.
new language to do it, uh, if it takes you in a different direction, that's fine. We talk
And
about making a more traditional record again with really clear-cut songs and a very simple record. And that may be the
yeah,
next thing that we do together. It's hard to say
yeah.
right now, you know.
Mhm. In talking about simple songs or pop songs or pop structures or rock structures. Um, 2 months ago, we talked with Paul King from the Bats, the Enemy, and the New Zealand scene.
Yes.
Um, they play with simple sounds, all natural. Um, my friends and I, we are speaking because in between times, your first record and have these natural feelings,
Yeah.
and we don't know if you because in another interview you speak about a New Zealand um, sampler with many bands,
Yes. Yes.
and this is a not obviously influence in your music in your when you make pop songs like Lee Ranaldo. This is one mirror to make songs.
Maybe. I mean, that the scene in New Zealand has long been influential to all of us in Sonic Youth. I mean, we
Mm.
started going there as soon as we started traveling a lot internationally. I think we went there in 1989 for the first time and went quite a few times to New Zealand. And there's a lot of music there that we love and
Yep.
some dear friends we've made there over the years. In particular, the guys in the band called the Dead Sea are really close friends. And um, so there's a lot of and there's been a lot of inspiring takes on pop music down there, in a very I don't know, less commercial manner,
Mm.
um, there's a real independent spirit to the music that's made
Yeah.
down there. And they're making it for each other in a way, for their community. It's so far away that most of those bands don't ever hope that they're going to tour in Europe or in
Yeah.
America. So they're
Yep.
really making it for this small community of people, and so it's stayed rather pure, I think, and
Mm.
there's really been so much music out of there that we've enjoyed over the years, that I've enjoyed.
Uh, Talking with Robert and Paul from the Bats, they are 40 years, 10 albums, and no touring, and
Yeah,
making good songs, good
yeah,
charts,
yeah, yeah,
producing. It's a special scene in all around the world. They are a special, particular scene in a little island.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and your pop songs, I think, and they have this natural, these feelings.
Well, that's good.
Pray.
That's a compliment for sure. Um,
um, like like a collector, a music lover, um, this tops 2022. Um, you put King Gordon new album and Thurston Moore new album in your top 10 or top 20.
Hmm.
You are more happy or proud of your friend? Happy for
Both.
them or
Yes,
proud?
of
Proud.
course, of course, both happy and proud. You know, it's great to feel like after such a long time with Sonic Youth and now almost 10 years without Sonic Youth,
Hmm.
that we're still, you know, still creating and engaged and making new music and not just looking backwards in a way, you know. So that's great. Yeah. Yeah, definitely proud.
um, New the three new albums. Kim Gordon's is, I think, is more industrial and with new writings, and yours now the new album is more experimental with the textures, with the voice, vocals, and
Yeah.
Thurston is like in the sixth last albums of Sonic Youth,
Yes.
with that sound, the structures.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lucky for us to be your three in the same band.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was always the strength of Sonic Youth is that we each had a
Yeah.
different perspective on things. We shared a lot of interests and we had different interests. And, you know, a band with three singers is always, you know, has to be certain kind of to be it has to be I don't know. It can be very special if it's the right
Yeah.
combination, you know. I felt like in a way it was interesting because Kim's record and my record are both uh, pushing more in a new kind of more experimental, more studio
Mm,
oriented way. Thurston's kind of holding
yeah.
down the guard of, the sequence that Sonic Youth was on, making records like that, forming a band,
Mm.
rehearsing the songs, and recording them. And we both chose to be more experimental in the studio. So even though my record and her record don't sound the same,
Mm.
they both had a similar spirit to me of this kind of studio
Yeah.
experimentation.
Yeah. There is
Challenging
two
ourselves.
views of
Yeah,
the same object.
yeah,
It's a new object looking and
yeah,
trying to speak with that new rhythms, new production tricks or
yeah,
um, painting, writing,
yeah.
visuals with Leah, uh, musician. Um, the expression and the activism. Um, uh, what in this year with Trump, you
Yeah,
come from a Reagan era, uh, and now Trump
yeah.
need more than expression. The art is important to be more than expression and be activist or be more active.
Um, well, I think everybody got a little bit more activist in this last year, between the worries that Trump would be
Hmm.
reelected and also the in America anyway, the Black Lives Matter movement was really
Yeah.
important and really something that shook a lot of people up and woke a lot of people up. And so I think everyone took on a little bit more of an activist tendency this last year in particular.
Hmm.
There was a big wave of people who really wanted to see Trump out more than anything else, for the good of the whole planet, really, not just the United
Yeah.
States. And I'm very happy that that's happened. Um, this year was interesting because so much of normal life stopped. And I mean, there's a great tragedy with all the people that have died. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, we lost people that we know that we were good friends with, and um,
Mm,
so there's a big tragic element to what happened this year. But there's also another side of it in that it was very interesting that the entire planet kind of stopped, and everyone had time, or at least I felt like I had time to look around and instead of being always on an airplane going somewhere and doing concerts or whatever, to
mm,
really take some time uh, to think about where I am and where we are as a planet, and really think about what to do going forward in a lot of ways. Really kind of make some plans for how I want to see, when things open up, what I want to see happen, both, for the country and for myself. I mean, do I want to start jetting off to tour again, or do I want to do something
mm,
different? I don't know that I've come to specific conclusions, but I've kind of valued this time of like being in one place without a lot of those kind of distractions of, traveling around the
mhm,
world, or even being in a recording studio. Just everything in life got more simple and basic. And there's been some value to that. I've definitely had
mm,
more time to spend thinking about things, and more time to write, and to catch up on books and movies and things like that, and just kind of feed the soul in a way,
mhm,
in ways that I think are kind of constructive going forward.
mm. Peter Kember from Spaceman 3, Dave Abulsis from Pearl Jam, Joe Lally from Fugazi, they have the same view, need more humanist. It's the same like that you see
Yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
it's a it's a it's important to um, mm, para continuar. Bueno, para seguir o to stay alive, a vision more humanist,
yeah,
a more
yeah,
humanist vision than a neoliberal or.
yeah. I mean, I think so. I think it has to be more humanist, and I think it's time for, it's been an interesting time to just assess, well, what are we doing? What's important, and what's important
Mhm,
going forward, and I don't really think this is the last. This pandemic maybe starting to come to an end. I don't know yet, but it
mhm,
seems like with the vaccine and everything that maybe things will start to improve. But I don't really have confidence that it's not going to happen again, or that this is. I think that in a way, the wars that we fight in the 21st century are going to be wars of
mm,
things like this, like vaccines and pandemics, and people are. The world has. I don't know, the world has gotten small in some very unusual ways. It's very easy
mm,
for a disease to spread rapidly around the whole world, and I think it's something that we're going to be faced with, and we need to know how to deal with it.
mhm, mm. Yep. Thanks for your opinion.
Yeah.
No, I think you are so consciousness about your art, your person in the music, and you are an authorized voice uh, with with many situations, more than music,
Hmm.
and your consciousness about that.
Yeah.
So I would like to say to thanks to share with us this
Okay.
opinion.
Thanks. Yeah.
Um, from the beginnings, from Glen Branca to these times, um, and noise, uh, in all the about all the years in that career. Um, what the noise done to you?
What?
The noise, the the guitar sound, the noise
Yes.
guitar, and uh, um, what don que te ha dado? What have to you the noise, or be more emotional, or expressive or like
Yeah, I
artist?
mean, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but the elements that you call noise, I mean, we just we wanted to make music that had certain extreme, challenged certain extreme limits, and when we started, we had guitars that didn't function very well as normal guitars, so we decided to see what else we could do with them, and uh, guitars are electric guitars in particular are noisemakers. That's what they are,
Mm.
and you can play. And none of us were very technically good guitar players, so we decided to use them in different ways. And we were influenced by a lot of the things that were happening in New York at that time. People like Glenn Branca, as you say, and Reese Chatham, and also a lot of these no wave bands that were playing,
Mhm.
that were making interesting songs without really even knowing how to play at all, like being very primitive players. And that didn't have anything to do with the quality of the music that they were making, which was quite high. And we just found it really inspirational that you could use the instruments in different ways. There's no, everybody, most people, 99% of the people who pick up an instrument, in this case, the guitar, they play it in the same exact style. It may be one music or another, but they're playing certain chords and adhering to a certain system. And we threw that whole system out and decided we didn't need to uh, be beholden to it. We invented our own tunings and our own ways of
Mhm.
playing it with sticks or screwdrivers or whatever it was, and it was easy for us to it made it easier for us to be creative because we weren't bound by this system that held all these guitar players in place. We just we just invented our own rules in a way, and that always makes things easier because you're playing by your rules then, and not the rules of the system in a sense. So noise
A
was a
last
part of
question.
that, and bringing noise
Yeah.
in was just a natural thing. I mean, we live, especially in the days when we started, we lived in kind of a dirty, dangerous, noisy city. And we wanted our music to reflect a lot of that. We wanted it to be dirty and dangerous and noisy,
Mhm.
and really just to reflect. You walk down the streets here and there's sirens going off and uh, construction and all kinds of assaultive noise. And you know, you start to hear some of that stuff and it sounds like music. The line between
Mhm.
the construction site and the concert hall, we wanted to blur that line because we found them both interesting to listen to.
It's like the car or to go to another places,
Yeah,
like a vehicle.
a vehicle. Yeah, 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 yeah. The guitar
Or
was our
language
vehicle.
or
Yep. Hmm.
but um to end I have one thing uh, uh, a plastic guitar um,
Yeah.
made by Mario Macaferri.
You have one?
No.
Ah, okay. I thought I
No,
thought you said you
but
had one. I know those guitars.
um, that emotion in the first guitars is still in you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I love the instrument, and I love, I collect them, and I love what they can do. And it's every time you find a new one, it seems like there's new songs inside of it. But I know those plastic guitars. I have a feeling that when I was very young, I had one of those Macaferri plastic guitars, and didn't realize that it was a valuable thing, and it got tossed out at some point. I'm not sure if it was one of those guitars or not, but I have a feeling it could have been. And yeah, so from the one I just showed you that my friend made, which is just a piece of wood with some strings
Yeah.
nailed onto it, two very beautiful instruments. They all have they all hold a quality of mystery and excitement to me.
Well, uh, we end here.
Okay.
I hope you stay safe, and a
Yeah.
lot of thanks to be with us. And it, will will next year will be better than than this.
Yeah, let's see. Hope so. Hope so.
And excuses about my English, but I try.
No, no, no. No hablo bien en español.
So a big hug and thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Good night,
Bye.
Barcelona.
Good night. Bueno, pues gracias. Y bueno, la tenéis en reemisión en Instagram TV. Gracias a los que os habéis conectado y a las que os habéis conectado. Nos vemos. Un abrazo.